Hey there guys, GMO73 here. Before we get to the spoiler coverage, just kind of want to catch you up on kind of what's going on this week. Sorry for kind of being so behind on the spoilers, but today we're going to cover all of the spoilers that dropped last week, as well as for the rest of the week we're going to have lots of awesome stuff going on. So tomorrow I'm going to have a couple of product review videos that you're going to get to watch and check out. There's a lot of cool stuff that I was able to get, including some caster stuff, so you'll be able to take a look at that. And then Wednesday will be a feature match as always, and then we're going to go straight into the deck profile for one of the two lists on Thursday. You've already seen one of the two lists before, so I won't be covering that. Friday will be the spoiler coverage for all of this week, kind of the recap of everything that dropped this week. And then Saturday and Sunday is the live stream for GP Richardson in Texas. So I hope you guys check that out. Also, just so you guys know, I have a cool thing for the patrons this month. At the end of the month, we're going to be doing a special giveaway for this playmat exclusive from Malaysia. Let me see this. One of their GP playmats for this for their season over in Malaysia. I was able to get my hands on one of these. That's going to be a giveaway that we do exclusively for patrons of the channel. So if you want to get in on that, you can look in the link down below at the end of the video. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into the spoilers. Here we go. So we already covered Imul and her spoiler set, so we're going to jump right into the fire spoilers. First up we have Dino Calling Demon, 3-drop 7/7, that searches for your dinosaur when it comes into play. So if you want to play a dino deck, you know, you're getting more consistency and search power on a pretty standard sized stat line for a 3-drop. So that's pretty cool. Definitely dino support. We've been wondering where that was kind of going to be. It kind of just fell by the wayside as opposed to Dragonoids. Then we go into Dino Ryder, who is a Dragonoid and dinosaur, so you can search for this guy. And he's actually pretty interesting. So he's a 6-drop, 14/14, pretty high stat line. It says when he enters the field, it deals 600 damage to each other resonator. So every other resonator on the field, including your own, gets 600 damage. And then whenever a resonator dealt damage by this card this turn is put into a graveyard, it gains swiftness. So this is pretty interesting. So you can slam it for 6, and then if it manages to kill something with its sensor effect, it has swiftness, and suddenly 14 damage is coming at your opponent's face. 6-drop is pretty expensive for creatures in a format with Otherworld Dreams, but I definitely think that if you're building a dinosaur deck, that you probably want to play a couple of this guy, just so you have that kind of like finishing bomb to be able to play off, because a board wipe plus a body that could potentially turn into 14 damage is, I think, pretty good. Next up we have Hero Bracelet, 4-drop edition with the bestow of red 1. It says bestowed resonator gains +4/+4, swiftness, barrier, and precision. That is a lot of value for just one card. However, it's really expensive, and so it's really expensive to bestow. So you can potentially get a lot of value out of it, but this is really hard to get out. But we have a card to help this, which is Howell's Martial Arts Tournament. So it's a 1-drop chant. It says target a resonator you control. Your opponent reveals cards from the top of their deck until they reveal a resonator. Destroy your target resonator if its attack is less than the revealed resonator's attack. Otherwise, you get to go in, grab a Hero Bracelet, put it into the field, and auto bestow it to the resonator that you control. And then that your opponent shuffles their deck afterwards. So this is pretty interesting. So for a 1-drop, if you get a kind of an early heavy-hitting creature, and then you play, and remember, it has to be specifically less. So if it ties or is better than the attack of the resonator that gets revealed, suddenly that resonator gets a massive bump because they get swiftness, barrier, precision, and +4/+4. So yeah, this is a very interesting card for red. Red does have a lot of strong, low-cost creatures, and yeah, you can just get a potentially lot of value out of it. The fact that it also gives a barrier, I think, is pretty crazy, especially since we're playing a lot of decks right now that have kind of a lot of low-strength creatures. This card could potentially see some play in red decks, which I think is pretty interesting. Now we move into our water spoilers. So we have a 4-drop 15/15 dragon flying, and it says it can't not attack, just attack. It can block, but it can't attack unless the weather is thunderstorm. So that means that we're probably going to start seeing thunderstorm now, right? Well, you're right. So we have Mefina, Thundercloud Wizard, which is pretty interesting. One of our draft rulers is now a Resonator. 2-drop 6/6 Mermaid says if a spell or ability would change the weather, it changes it to Thunderstorm instead. So my first question that we need to figure out is whether or not Thunderstorm also counts as being rain. Because if Thunderstorm counts as also being raining, then these cards are much better, because you get a lot of utility out of a lot of different cards. If Thunderstorm replaces rain and therefore it's not raining anymore, then we might have some problems. But it's pretty interesting. We have this Resonator to help make Thunderstorm happen. We also have Thunder Call, which says quick cast. If the weather is rain, it becomes Thunderstorm until end of turn, draw a card. So this is probably just going to replace the weather change rain, just so you can, because again, it's the same essential thing. It's going to draw you a card, change the weather to what you need it to be, and it's a quick cast. It pretty much is just a pure replacement. And then we have Thunderstorm. Go figure. It's a 5-drop chant with quick cast. It says return all Resonators to their owner's hand, and if the weather is Thunderstorm, their owners put them on the bottom of their deck in any order. So this is interesting because it says all Resonators for both players. That's kind of really sucky, I guess. But if it's Thunderstorm, hey, you completely wipe them off the board and put them on the bottom of the deck. So maybe you're playing like a J-Ruler heavy deck with Jayla to not really care about having Resonators shifted back to the bottom. It's overall pretty interesting stuff, and I'm glad to finally see Thunderstorm getting played, figure out what it is. Next up, we have Win, the spoilers where everyone freaked out. We have Lorite, one of our super rares, 7 Luminaries Astrologian, 1/2 Elf for 1 with Quick Cast. It says when this enters the field, cancel target activate or automatic ability your opponent controls. So this cancels enters, this cancels activate abilities, this cancels ruler abilities, this cancels God's Arts. This cancels a lot. And it also says remove 3 spirit magics in your graveyard from the game. Put this card from your graveyard into your hand, so you can recycle it. So yeah, it's a 1-drop hand trap that also becomes a chump blocker that you can recycle. Pretty interesting. Very, very strong card. I think this is going to see a lot of play. I definitely think this is going to be a card that really helps Gil a lot, as well as just a lot of other good things. I mean, this is pretty much screws over Ayu single-handedly. You know, she tries to pitch his soul, you just go, we'll cancel it. Or she tries to God's Art, you go, well, no, that's canceled, and now you've spent your God's Art for the game. You definitely have to just be more cautious now that this card exists. Next up, we have Lorite's Deletion Magic. It's a new cancel spell, but it's a Spirit Magic cancel spell. This is important. And it's a quick cast. It says, cancel target spell unless your opponent pays X. So keep this in mind. If you are the new Gil that produces 2 will, so you can play this for 1, banish a Spirit Elemental, produce 2 will, pay those 2 will into the X. And so for a 1-drop, you said, unless you pay 2, that spell's canceled. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Also, you see Master's Magic is incredible. I mean, you're curious, student of Lorite. So, getting some lore here. We're getting some of the Luminaries back into play, and Lorite's kind of leading the charge on that. So, very interesting that Green's getting another cancel spell. We'll definitely see... I'm not necessarily sure if this card will see play over Vanish. Because I think Vanish is just kind of better because it's a hard cancel, but it is a little bit more expensive, whereas this can be paid as a 2-drop Wallowind in a sense. So we'll have to see kind of what happens about that. Next up, we have Rachel, the Ancient Library Researcher, and this card is concerning, but at the same time, I think that we just have to kind of wait and see. So she's a 3-drop 7/7 human. And then she says, so that's really good. I'm glad she's not an elf. When this card enters the field, look at the top 3 cards of target player's deck. So yourself or your opponent. Put any number of them in the owner's graveyard and the rest on the top of their owner's deck in any order. So you can say, oh, those are 3 bomb cards. I'm going to get rid of all 3 of them. Oh, this card's really bad. I'm going to put the other 2 in the grave and put this one on top. So your draw card sucks. And then it says, which by itself is not too bad, and then it says, when this card leaves the field, search your deck for a card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So she can literally search for anything, including a replacement copy of herself, which is insane. And here's the thing that concerns people, is that all of these effects is when she leaves the field. It's not when she hits graveyard. So Lumia, I mean, we've already seen Divine Bird of Ataraktia be used pretty heavily in Lumia. This card can just say, well, I'll flicker it, search for any card that I want in my deck rather than drawing. And then, so now I have a shuffle mechanic in Lumia, and I can mill top cards of my deck or mill top cards of your deck, as long as it keeps surviving. And then if you kill it, I'll just search for another copy of her. Be prepared to see lots of Rachel, unless there's a banning of Lumia or an errata of this card or a mistranslation or something. This card is going to see heavy play. Just a very, very strong card with an insanely good stat line for a 3-drop. Next up, we have the Ancient Library, 2-drop edition. For when this card enters the field, you draw a card, so it replaces itself. And it says, win chance you control and you own everywhere. So RFG, Graveyard, Hand, gain Spirit Magic in addition to their other subtypes. So I think this is pretty interesting for Gil. If you're playing a heavy guild control, you can play this and suddenly all of your win chance becomes Spirit Magic. So this means Otherworld Dreams become Spirit Magic. This means Severing Winds becomes Spirit Magic. This means like any green spell you can think of just becomes a Spirit Magic, which I think is pretty awesome. That makes Gil able to spend a lot less will to make all of his spells happen. Next up, we have Grim of the Crimson Moon, 3-drop 7/7 Fairy Tale Vampire. He has flying and he has barrier from white and black cards. When he enters the field, reveal any number of Fairy Tale Resonators in your hand, and he gets +1/+1 on him for everyone revealed this way. So Fairy Tale decks, woo! And then when he attacks, you put 2 mystery counters on your J-Ruler. That's pretty interesting to me. And then whenever you do Judgment, you can remove 2 mystery counters to invert him. Now, what is his invert, you say? He becomes Grim, Hope for the Future. Grim Hope from the Future has a 10/10 stat line, also with flying and barrier white and black. And he says, win this inverse, target non-magic stone entity, so this could be a Resonator or a J-Ruler or an addition. Gains, it loses Imperishable, it loses any this card cannot be destroyed until end of turn, and then you destroy it. So it can literally destroy anything, including a J-Ruler, like that says it can't be destroyed, like Nine-Tailed Fox. So that's pretty interesting to me. And it also can't be killed by Nine-Tailed Fox because it has barrier black, so you can't be like, Amit, try to save it. Nope, it's gonna just die. And it says cards in your opponent's graveyard lose all abilities. So this means no Remnant, this means no bringing cards back, this means no when this card hits the graveyard kind of thing. So yeah, this guy's got just a lot of interesting ideas, and I like the fact that he himself can naturally fuel his ability to invert regardless of your ruler. Even in just Araya, having a vampire that's a 7/7 flyer is pretty good. I'm actually pretty excited to potentially put this guy in there. And then, you know, you don't really have to worry about him being white on this side. You never really doesn't have to spend white to flip him. And that flying barrier, again, is just super awesome, and being able to kill anything is super cool. So, yeah. Next up, we have Bloodsucking Butler. He is back, so we've got another one of the draft rulers. Now it's Resonator. 3-drop 7/7 Vampire, and he says tap, put a mystery counter on your J-Ruler. That's pretty awesome, just naturally fueling it there. And he also says tap, remove a mystery counter from your J-Ruler, target J/Resonator gains -2/2 until end of turn. So, Bloodsucking Butler can turn all of your mystery counters into mini removal spells. I think that's pretty cool, because sometimes you just get so many counters, especially maybe after Ray has died, or, you know, gotten killed, and you have like 10 mystery counters left on her. You can just be like, well, here's -20/20 available, to be able to use it anytime as long as this guy's on the field. So, pretty interesting stuff. Then we have Revival of the Clan, 1-drop mystery chant, says put target Resonator from your graveyard into your hand, or if you remove 2 mystery counters from your J-Ruler, you can bring 2 Resonators from your graveyard into your hand. Also pretty good. I'm really enjoying all of this Rhea support, being able to bring back Resonators from the graveyard, especially, you know, valuing up for 1 card into 2 for just 1 mystery counter, I think is really, really cool. I wish it was instant speed, but I understand why it's not. If we wanted instant speed, we can play Spider's Web, which we're already doing. I'm not sure if this card replaces Spider's Web. I think it's mainly based on if you're playing like a hard control or something like that, but we'll have to see how it goes. And then we have Soul Concentration. This card I think is very, very important. So it's a 1-drop quick cast. You choose 1. You either get 3 mystery counters, or you put 2 +1/+1 counters on target J/Res you control. With this card, and with Grim and with Bloodsucking Butler now coming into play, I don't think Rhea has to play blue anymore. There's literally no reason for her to try to play Flute's Water Dragon, because we can just replace it with Soul Concentration. She already starts with 3 counters. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do now without having to rely on getting those blue stones, which I think is awesome, because now Rhea herself can branch out into being like black, green, white, black, green, red. You can do a lot of stuff with Rhea now. I'm very excited, and I'm especially really excited to see with all of this stuff what her unsealed J-Ruler side turns out to be. But that is it. That is last week's spoiler sets. Let me know what you guys think. What was your favorite color? I know I really am digging this whole inverse idea. And again, as I said, every day this week we're going to have new video content, and then on Friday we'll have the spoiler recap video for this entire week of spoilers that we're in right now. But until then, guys, go ahead, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Like, comment, share out the video, subscribe to the channel so you can be aware of all the stuff going on. And until next time, this is DMO73 signing off. Huge thanks to the patrons of the channel. You see their names here on the screen as well as down below in the description. They are what help make this channel run and help me do these awesome projects for you guys. If you feel like joining the channel and getting access to all the cool perks that come with being a patron, click on the P on the screen or the link down below. Thanks so much. See you next time.